Hello, Walnut here. Did you enjoy the intro? Sorry if it looks out of place. This is my first time editing this kind of stuff. And I must say, it was an interesting experiment nonetheless. Anyway, you've read the title, let's get down to business. A little side note, before I start, I feel like I need to mention that I didn't have any plans on making this to be a step-by-step walkthrough on how I paint in the first place. However, upon further review, the video would be best viewed exactly how I didn't plan it. Well, wouldn't you know it, nothing ever goes the way you expected it. Since we've already gotten that out of the way, let's give it up to the sketch. Unfortunately, this is all I've got. Fret not, I have more things to cover. To be fair, the sketch did come to me while I was doing another sketch with proper composition and all that. Yes, unfortunately might be another Sunday work in progress. But when I look at it, I felt this yearning to put my everything on that doodle first before doing anything else. So I did. Put it up another canvas, doing this and that, and voila! Finish! Okay. Let's actually get into it. Give your warmest welcome to none other than Sunday Honkai Star Rail himself. The star of the show will witness my commentary and my work as he sees fit, through this tiny box, where I use him to hide my references. Oops. For this piece, my idea was to put Anna, Copperwood, and Sunday's inability to free himself the way he had sought for Robin once upon a time. Or maybe I just wanted to see him cry. Honestly, I hasn't figured that one out yet. With all of that in mind, let's get to the fun part. These shaded colors help me understand the form as it isn't too dark or too bright. This way I can clearly tell where I want the light source to hit. However, using these shaded colors might make it hard to tell which part was supposed to be highlighted by the light. This area is also one of the most intimidating processes, considering this is the part where I play around with colors a lot. Either the colors make me want to continue or I just start a new one because it didn't fit with the way I envision it. For Sunday in particular, well, let's just say I put the halo to his Hellovian species to work. After I felt satisfied, I made a new layer on top of the sketch and the base color to begin my painting. And now, this is where the actual fun part begins. They say eyes are the windows to your soul. Thus, I started with it first. Use a soft round brush or just the usual soft airbrush to make the eye look, well, soft. You see, eyes are one of the main focus of most pieces when it comes to characters. Personally, I enjoy different paintings of eyes depending on the character and the environment. For Sunday, however, I gave him more of a delicate look to show his harboring feelings of resentment, of sadness, of, well, everything this emotionally unavailable guy has to offer. Next, I moved to render the wings. Let me tell you a bit of a backstory actually. So when I started with the wings, I had this idea of where I would put subsurface scattering on the wings. As the light shining from the halo, it shall grace the wings elegantly. That was my thoughts, and I went back and forth whether to just go with it or not because I just couldn't decide whether I wanted to put it in or not. And at the end I decided to just go with it because it was eating my brain alive. Moving on towards the flying feathers coming out from his hair, I just think that it would be more painful lore-wise because he will never be free as Robin. Plus, hair-infused feather looks so damn cool. Let me have my fun, why don't you? Next on Sunday's clothing. He wears this homophobic homosexual suit, fit for a priest and perfect for his character. Yet also, it leads to more of a monotone color scheme, with his hair being gray, blue, whatever it is, and the combination of white, blue, and a bit of gold, it fits very nicely. In a way, it reminds me of a certain someone from a different game made by the same company. Anyway, I render it with a darker color tone rather than the one from the base color, as to make his face shine better. Again, the focus is on the face, which means I could just play around with this part and no one is going to be able to see it. Moving on towards the halo. Before I start, I would like to thank this artist for making my life and so many others easier. Think of the halo as a huge chunk of gold, which means it has a lot of a different combination of yellow, orange and brown. As for the line art, the original had the color of light blue. All I did was simply change the filter to difference. For the refracted light, I apologize for not including the video. The file crashed and I couldn't open it, but I'll try my best to explain it here instead. The light forms like a circle around the head to lead your attention towards the face. By using brushes made by talented artists from Clip Studio Paint's asset, I don't have to spend way too long figuring out how to achieve it faster. I'll put the ID numbers here so you can use them as well. All I needed to do was to add motion blur and call it a day. You know that feeling of dread and utter hopelessness in your drawing process? A being that you just can't put your fingers on it, and more often than not, it always puts you in such a struggling position? Well, this is my story. In this painting, it was Sunday's hair. The story began from a sketch. The initial sketch did wonders for me, as it was one of my favorite parts of the entirety of the sketch, and in a way, I wanted to capture it through my rendering. Let's rewind. In the first part of the recording, I started with painting the hair. The colors were there, the lights were there, and my determination was there. Would you look at that? Every part of the art was untouched. This was truly the beginning of a story so hard to forget, yet so easy to fall backwards to. But the story didn't end there. Oh no, far from it actually. But to get to the ending, we must first follow the storyline. Alright, explanation is needed and here I am ready to provide. So this is basically like the breaking point. I have tried multiple hairstyles and none of them seems to work for Sunday, which is really weird. And then I played around with the hairstyles and I realized that I feel like my sketch didn't do his hair justice, at least like the front view. So I fixed the perspective and lo and behold, it actually worked. As you can see, I used vibrant colors. The saturated blue and yellow were there to increase the color dodge I used on the lighting, because I knew it would get closed up by the light. However, I also want to provide some sense of form, because the background is close to black, or to be precise, it's actually a dark green. I needed it to look like it popped out, but not in a way that it would steal the attention from the face. Of course, my trusted wife, the love of my life, Lassoville, was there the whole time. And then I brushed it off with some textured brush, did a little bit more of rendering, and the story has come to its end. Wait, don't leave yet, you haven't even read the epilogue. Let's call it the final touch. This is what it looks like without the filter, the contrast, the gradient maps. After that, I used some gradient maps to change the color just a bit. Next, I would like to introduce you to a little trick I've been using. First, duplicate the finish layer. Second, change it to a hard light filter. Third, lower the opacity. And fourth, blur it. there you have it! After all of that, it still looks a little too bright to my liking. So I used the tone curve to slightly change the tone. And now, for the finale, I toned the brightness down. Yeah, that's literally it. But, ta-da! Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. My last video was about 4 years ago. I actually posted another one, but I wasn't really proud of it. Anyway, if you wanted to see the full image, you can go to my Twitter at the link down below.